Amber Heard testified against Johnny Depp today. Here's what she said. Opening her testimony, Amber was asked about her childhood. She explained that she grew up in a small town outside of Austin, Texas. Her and her father broke horses together where she learned to show no fear. She went to a Catholic school, took all the jobs she could, and would do charity and volunteer work. She then went on to describe a little about her career in acting and how she met Johnny Depp. She testified that she knew how famous he was and found it odd that they were bonding despite him being twice her age, and that they bonded over obscure books, music, and poetry. She also described the first time she and Johnny kissed, stating that she felt like the lines were blurred when he grabbed her face and kissed her, which happened on the set of the movie they were filming. She testified that they spent time together in an air-conditioned trailer, and at one point he playfully and flirtatiously pushed her down on a bed/sofa and said yum. She also noted that she was in a bathrobe and he moved it with his foot, and as they were both in relationships at the time, they didn't pursue anything further. Eventually, when they both were single, Amber testified that they began dating, and she said, "It felt like this man knew me and saw me in a way that nobody else had. He made me feel seen, he made me feel like $1 million. He gave me lavish gifts, lavish expressions of love, and it felt very intense." She said when she was with him, she felt electricity in her body, had butterflies, and that she couldn't see straight because she was so in love. She also mentioned that he would often disappear a lot, alleging that it was because of his alcohol and drug use. She also made a point of mentioning that he drank a lot of tea. She also testified that she took off his boots as a show of love, but said, "I guess it made an impression on him, he could have taken off his own boots." And if you remember, Johnny testified that she was obsessive about taking off his boots, and that she would become agitated with him if he took his boots off himself, because she thought that that was her role. She also testified that he got along great with her parents, bonding with her mother and father and giving them lavish gifts. She also testified that he made her feel dirty, and that she was whoring herself out despite the fact that she was an actor. She emotionally recalled one time she was wearing a dress to a premiere that she felt beautiful in, and grew increasingly more emotional when, instead of complimenting her, he responded, "I think the whole world saw that kid." In my next video, I'll break down her testimony of the first time that she claims Johnny Depp hit her. In my first video, I broke down her background and where she met Johnny. Amber then continued her testimony, emotionally recounting the first time Johnny Depp allegedly hit her. She explained that the moment changed her forever, and that her and Johnny were sitting on a couch when she pointed out one of his tattoos, asking what it was and what it meant because apparently she didn't know. And it was the Wino Forever tattoo Johnny Depp got in honor of his ex, Winona Ryder. She allegedly asked him what it said, and he responded, "Wino." She claims that she was laughing because she thought he was joking when he suddenly slapped her across the face. Johnny allegedly then slapped her again, saying, "You think you're funny, bitch." She said he then slapped her a third time. She testified that she didn't move, didn't freak out, didn't say anything, because she didn't know what else to do. She said she then silently stood up and walked out of the house, and Johnny started crying and apologizing, saying that he had put away the monster. And many people have noted that despite her displays of emotion, no tears ever fell. She says he apologized profusely and she thought he would change, but her life became a revolving door of accusations about affairs, and that it was, quote, almost like a never-ending fight. Amber also testified that during an argument in 2013, Johnny had become jealous over a painting that her ex-partner had given her, and he tried to light it on fire using a Bic lighter, but was ultimately unsuccessful due to his level of intoxication. She said that she only ever tried to defuse the situation by telling him that I was not sleeping with that person. She also allegedly recalled a non-specific accident where Johnny backhanded her with his rings. She also testified about an alleged incident where Johnny Depp held his 5-pound Yorkie Boo out the window of a moving car. She testified that he was on drugs and alcohol and was howling, and that no one in the group did anything. She was also questioned about this photo with a bruise on her arm from 2013, and Amber testified that Johnny slapped her, and she walked away from him, which made it worse. She said he then grabbed her by the arm and held her to the ground screaming, and that she doesn't remember how many times he hit her in the face. Once again, she was very emotional. She also was questioned about a photo of a table she took, where a skull and crossbones box can be seen, as well as several lines, and she testified that the box was sometimes used to hold pills and had cocaine in it. And there's still more to Amber's theatrical testimony, so make sure to check out my next part. First two videos with the first parts of what she said. During her testimony, Amber recounted her version of the events at Hicksville. She said that her, Johnny, and some friends were partaking in drugs and hanging out in a trailer in Hicksville when one of the women on the trip got too close to her. She explained that Johnny then allegedly became jealous over the close proximity between Amber and the other woman. She said they then left and went back to their trailer, where Johnny was infuriated and began smashing the place, and she alleged that Johnny began screaming at her and accused her of having an affair. She testified that she believed he was really high and was no longer making any sense. Amber testified that he then went into the bathroom and started demanding where Amber was hiding it. And Amber graphically and emotionally recounted how Johnny allegedly ripped off her nightgown and underwear and performed a cavity search on her looking for his drugs. After that, Amber described another alleged incident where she and Johnny were on a flight to Russia, and that both Johnny and her had taken MDMA when Johnny offered it to the flight attendant as well. Amber testified that the flight attendant accepted the drugs, said that as the woman grew increasingly more comfortable with her, Johnny grew jealous, and she said that Johnny allegedly grabbed the flight attendant by the wrist, slammed it down on the table, and said that he could break it. The flight attendant then retreated to the front cabin, and Amber says that her and Johnny sat in silence until they got to the hotel room where Johnny allegedly became angry, once again accusing her of cheating. And she described how Johnny allegedly backhanded her in the face, and that she didn't realize that her nose was bleeding until Johnny's security guard, Jerry Judge, offered her a tissue. Towards the end of her testimony, Amber recalled an incident in the Bahamas. She described how she, Johnny, and his kids were on his yacht, where Johnny was apparently hiding his drinking from his children. She testified that Lily Rose Depp was emotional and asked Amber a lot of questions, specifically regarding whether her dad had started drinking again. Amber then described how Johnny jumped off the boat in a manner that she found scary, almost like a belly flop or a tumble. And she said that Lily Rose Depp immediately began crying. And allegedly, upon seeing Lily Rose Depp in tears, Johnny told Lily to leave the room and then slammed Amber up against a wall by her throat, saying, "I'm gonna kill you," accusing her of telling his kids that he began drinking again. Amber then said that she left the island with Lily Rose and was taking care of his daughter while he sent her a barrage of hateful messages. Johnny appeared to be shocked at these statements, and I believe he could be seen muttering, "Wow." It's also interesting to note that Johnny Depp did not look up from his desk once during Amber Heard's testimony. Amber Heard will be back up on the stand tomorrow, and I'll keep you guys all updated. Amber Heard testified against Johnny Depp for a second day. Here's what you need to know. Amber started her testimony by recalling her version of the events on the flight from Chicago to LA in 2014. She said that before the Boston to LA flight, Johnny had been drinking and doing drugs. She claimed that Johnny interrogated her about a movie she had done with James Franco and said that he called her a slut and asked her explicit questions in front of all the other members on the plane. She then said Johnny began throwing ice cubes and utensils at her. She testified that during that flight, Johnny sat down in front of her and slapped her in the face, in front of a group of security guards and assistants who didn't react. She said after that, when her back was turned, Johnny allegedly put his boot on her back and kicked her to the floor. She said she thought to herself, "Did he just kick me? No one said anything, no one did anything, and I remember feeling so embarrassed that he could kick me to the ground in front of people." Then an audio recording was played to the court again of Johnny allegedly during that flight, howling like an animal in the bathroom. In contrast, when Johnny testified, he denied drinking excessively and said that during the flight, Amber had initiated an argument that he said caused him to retreat to the bathroom, where he fell asleep on the floor. In my next video, I'll break down her testimony about Johnny's alleged drug and alcohol abuse and how she says she was treated during his detox. Amber continued her testimony by highlighting Johnny Depp's struggles with drugs and alcohol. After one allegedly bad incident, Johnny promised to detox from drugs and alcohol, and she said it felt like a change. She said over the next few months, he worked with the doctors on his recovery plan, and she said that after a few months of checking his pulse, making sure he wasn't vomiting in the middle of the night, and expressing confusion at him falling asleep in the middle of conversations, she said she realized that Johnny was lying to his doctors and had been taking double the amount of opioids as normal so he could get an extra high before he had to detox. Amber said that during that time she went to Georgia to film Magic Mike 2, and she testified that Johnny did not approve of the role, despite her wearing non-revealing clothing and very little makeup. She said that Johnny had grown jealous and insisted on talking with her male cast members, and that Johnny was allegedly angry at her for working. She also testified that one time she was on a phone call with Johnny Depp when he had accused her of having an affair with someone in New York, and she said he was incoherent and claimed that she wasn't cheating on him, he was just hallucinating. Johnny then went to the Bahamas to detox, and she went with him, where she testified that he allegedly slapped her across the face while crying. She also claimed that he was hallucinating and screaming at her for things that she hadn't said. She also said that nothing she would do would stop him from hitting her, and said that she was threatening to call the police on him. At one point she said she had called the police on him multiple times, and threatened to leave him. In my next video, I'll break down Amber's testimony about an alleged violent incident that took place in Tokyo. What you need to know. While on the stand today, Amber claimed that Johnny Depp had been violent towards her in Tokyo. Amber alleged that when she and Johnny arrived in Tokyo for the Mordecai premiere, Johnny Depp allegedly accused her of having an affair with Eddie Redmayne, who co-starred in The Danish Girl with her. Amber claimed that her and Johnny were arguing when Johnny allegedly grabbed her by the arm and slammed her into the hallway wall. She said she fought out of his grasp and went to the closet, when she claimed Johnny grabbed her by the hair and wrestled her to the ground, where she claimed he put his knee on her back and repeatedly hit her. She said that he was screaming at her that they were over, that he didn't want to marry her, and that she remembered crying on the floor and being heartbroken. She also mentioned that at the premiere the next day, she was wearing a dress with a low back and continuously kept checking her back because she believed the bruises could be visible. In my next video, I'll break down her testimony on her version of the events where Johnny Depp's finger was severed. Amber Heard gave her version of the events leading up to Johnny Depp's severed finger. Here's what she said. Amber said that immediately after landing in Australia, Johnny Depp took 10 doses of MDMA and allegedly shoved her, sending her flying across the floor. She then locked herself in her room and the big argument started the next day. Amber said that Johnny accused her of sleeping with co-stars in her movies. Amber claimed that Johnny pinned her up against the kitchenette bar area, where she said she hit her head hard, and claimed that Johnny was barraging her with derogatory terms, calling her a slut, whore, fat ass. She said that Johnny threw her onto a ping pong table and hit her in the face repeatedly, and that the argument then turned to his drinking habits, where she said that she smashed a bottle of liquor on the floor and was trapped behind a bar area where Johnny was throwing bottles of alcohol and soda at her. At one point, she claimed that Johnny held the glass of a broken bottle up to her face. In the struggle, she claimed that her nightgown was ripped off, and that Johnny pinned her to the wall by her throat, and she described in detail how she saw him smashing a phone on the wall into bits. Allegedly, she then felt a pressure on her pubic bone, and Johnny had forcefully penetrated her with a vodka bottle. During this altercation, she said she was slipping on liquid on the floor, and was dragging her arms and stepping on glass. She also said that her memory of the order of the events was cloudy. She was shown several photos of the house, including the drawing on the walls, and of the smashed bottles and blood on the floor. She also said that this photo possibly reminded her of the bottle that Johnny used. She said she didn't recall exactly how Johnny's finger was severed, and alleged that he possibly could have done it while she was asleep. It's also interesting to note that after the argument, no one witnessed any injuries on Amber Heard, and she claimed that she had been beaten, assaulted, and dragged through glass. In my next video, I'll break down her testimony of what she says happened when she punched Johnny Depp in the face. Amber Heard testified against Johnny Depp for a second day. Here's what she said about when she punched Johnny Depp in the face. Amber testified that a few weeks after Johnny Depp's finger was severed, she and him got into an intense argument in their penthouse. Amber claimed that Johnny had gone to see a woman he had sexual relations with a few days after their wedding, and when she confronted him, an explosive fight ensued. Amber claimed that during that fight, Johnny Depp dragged her up the stairs by her hair, and that when Johnny went to shove or hit her little sister Whitney, Amber said she punched him in the face. It's interesting to note that Johnny Depp's security guard was present during that moment and said that Johnny Depp made no attempt to hit Amber's sister. Amber said her and Johnny then went up to a bedroom, where Johnny allegedly repeatedly hit her with a closed fist, saying that he fucking hated her, and that he repeatedly knocked her to the ground, daring her to get up, and when Amber got up, she claimed he headbutted her. After that, she said they struggled and he pinned her face down on the bed, where he repeatedly hit her in the back of the head with his fists, and she said that she thought he was going to kill her. The court was shown multiple alleged bruises on Amber's face, including a black eye, broken nose, busted lip, and hair ripped out of her scalp. She said that her makeup team had to work very hard so she could appear on James Corden the next day. And lastly, Amber recalled an alleged incident in the Bahamas, where she and Johnny had finally decided to end the relationship, and said that her, Johnny, and his kids were hanging out when Johnny spilled wine on her pants 3 times. After the 3rd time, Amber claimed to get up and shout, "What are you doing?" and went to go change her pants, when Johnny followed her, slammed her up against the side of the closet, and screamed at her, "Don't you ever embarrass me in front of my kids again, I'll kill you." She then said she tried to hide in the bathroom, where Johnny allegedly grabbed her by her vagina, before Amber ran away, throwing something at him when she ran. Amber said that Johnny reached her and grabbed her by her hair, when suddenly 2 members of the staff arrived. It's important to note that one of those staff members previously testified and said that Johnny was retreating, and that she observed no injuries on Amber Heard, but saw that Johnny Depp had a bruise across the bridge of his nose. And after that incident, the staff member took him to a cafe where he fell asleep on the couch. Obviously, she covered a lot in her emotional testimony today, and court won't be resuming until next week, so we have to wait to see the cross-examination.